Thanks so much, Senator, for the kind word and for your leadership. As the Senator noted, this bipartisan infrastructure law is an extraordinary achievement. It's something that I think we're all accustomed to now being the law of the land and to get into that implementation and execution mode, but it bears repeating that things like that don't happen every day, especially in today's Washington. And your senator, both of your senators, we had a nice conversation with Susan Collins preparing for this trip, that she couldn't be here. Both of them played such a key role in framing this legislation that is just a generational change for infrastructure in the country. So, pleasure to be with you. Pleasure to be with Chellie Pingree, who is another example, someone in your delegation who doesn't hesitate, trust me, to let us know exactly what we can be doing to benefit the state of Maine, and was there for us in working to get this done. So pleased to be with you. I want to thank our hosts here. It's such a remarkable facility. Thanks, Dave, for the quick tour as well. I've been clocking similarities and differences from home all day. I make my home along the 45th parallel, just a little bit west of here in Michigan, and in a rural area. So some things are quite similar. But some things are unique. We would go to the county fair with my kiddos, but nobody offered to have a program where we just leave for a few weeks and they'd be well adapted. Even though that's not option. I'm very fond of my children, but it's also nice to know that they can be in good hands. This is also my third visit to Maine, but my first as secretary, and it's my 50th state, so I've now been in every state for the time. And again, some things are similar, some things are different. This is not the first time I've been out visible at an infrastructure construction site and somebody driving by rolled down the window of their truck to let me know something. But it's the first time they shouted out a really nice compliment. It was so welcome. And we've got a really great panel coming up, so I want to thank each of our panelists, Carter Friend from the York County Community Action Corporation, Matt Harvey from Marine Solar Technologies and Maine Electric Boat, Chief Clarissa Ceballos from the Cold Dead, Maliseet Indians, and Colleen Hamlin-Smith, an entrepreneur in food and agriculture. We're going to learn a lot from. And for that reason, I will be brief, but I want to just share a few opening thoughts about what brings us here before taking my seat to listen and to learn. Let me start by acknowledging that rural communities have, I think, often felt a lack of regard from Washington, an under-resourcing that has built up over time. One statistic that I think was interesting that came to my attention when I was serving in the military is that rural residents make up a fifth of the population of the country, but a third of the military. And I think that's a metaphor for something that happens more broadly, notably, of course, in terms of where our food comes from, and in so many other ways where people punch above their weight class and contribute more than their share in rural America, which is part of why we want to make sure that this administration, this Biden-Harris administration, I'm guessing your colleagues didn't bring that up in the context of noting our record high energy production. But it's very important that the Biden-Harris administration has been from day one to be investing in rural America. And I know those promises have come for a long time, so it's important for us to demonstrate that we're putting our money where our mouth is. And when it comes to the things I get to touch, a big part of that is transportation infrastructure. Since 2022, we've awarded over $11 billion in grants, just on the competitive side, to fix and modernize rural transportation. For the projects that our department chooses directly, we've awarded twice as much funding to rural applicants just in the last 2 years than in the previous 4 years put together. And that certainly brought a lot of good news to rural Maine. 3 large sections of Route 1 in northern Maine that are currently not as safe or as efficient as they ought to be. Reconstructing a stretch of Foxcroft Road, working with the Old Band and Maliseet Indians so that there's a safer way to walk or bike. We're helping 5 rural towns in Maine develop roadway safety plans and a lot more. Upgrading that 35-year-old ferry to a new hybrid electric one and upgrading the terminals. We hope to make a big difference here. And I'm looking forward to seeing capacity at the Portland International Marine Terminal to tomorrow. I know that qualifies as a megalopolis in Maine terms, but I would still say it's a very important part of our rural policy because of how important it is as a facility for Maine's farmers as well as manufacturers selling their outstanding products to the rest of the world. And we also get that a lot of communities here don't necessarily feel accustomed to navigating federal processes. And having been the mayor of a small or mid-sized city, depending who you ask, knocking on the door of the USDOT back when I was mayor, I know how important it is for us to be more user-friendly administration as well. And so we've been working on technical assistance to help communities apply for and deliver those federal funds. We've awarded $1.5 billion just since 2022 to 550 communities that are first-time applicants, rural or tribal. Some of my colleagues will be sticking around for the resource fair immediately following this event to help with the discussion. So please find our team if we can be helpful. I know so many people in these communities wear many hats. The last thing you have is a full-time federal relations official, not counting your excellent congressional representation, of course, but you find yourself having to be the grant writer as well as a lot of other things. We want to make that process a little bit simpler. Second thing I'll mention is that we know that the infrastructure itself is the whole picture. Rules and laws and policies really matter too. And we're trying to update those to benefit farmers and manufacturers. For example, President Biden signed the Ocean Shipping Reform Act, something that was a response partly to ocean carriers who, in response to the supply chain disruptions we experienced, upped those prices faced by American farmers, and sometimes even refusing to take American exports back to Asia because they found it was more economically beneficial to them to carry empty containers. And we've heard from farmers that since the law went into effect, there are fewer instances of either failure to serve or outrageous fees. And the farmers are getting better prices for their goods as a consequence of some of these changes. Then on the manufacturing side, we're continuing to work to bring manufacturing back to America and requiring the companies and communities that receive American taxpayer dollars to using products made in America. Third and last point is the good jobs that we are proudly supporting in communities all over rural America. We've created nearly 800,000 manufacturing jobs, many of which are in rural communities. And it's a remarkable comeback relative to the manufacturing recession that we experienced previous to that. And I'm especially enthused about how the progress in rural America, and we're standing in a place that symbolizes it, has broken down the old false framework of jobs versus the environment, as if doing right on one account could only mean doing harm on the other. And I see these great examples of how economic and environmental responsibility match. And we're seeing that come back everywhere we go. 7 miles northeast of here, a company building a new mill in Skowhegan, I hope I'm saying that right, that's producing sustainable packaging materials, creating hundreds of jobs there. That's just one example of manufacturing excellence here, which I also witnessed when I saw what has to be the world's largest mobile booth over in the I got to double check what federal vehicle I should double check that. But really impressive. So I just wanted to share that as an overview, some of the things that are on our minds. But we really are here more to listen than to speak, so that's as much talking as you'll hear from me today. And we want to come back to Washington, as I know we will, with a notebook full of ideas, including ideas about what we can and should be doing with that. So with that, I'll suspend the monologue and we'll jump into the dialogue. I'll go take my seat and really look forward to the discussion we have.